What is up, guys? Antoine here once again from Mad Talk. Mad Talk is all about how entrepreneurs and creatives are making a difference in their everyday world. And today I have Tony here. He's a content creator and also a channel producer for ThinkMedia, one of the biggest, in my opinion, YouTube help channels and YouTube help networks on the internet today. They have many different programs, many different products. What I love so much about ThinkMedia is the amount of things that you guys give for free, especially. Like, there's people that the advice you're giving, someone else selling it for like $2,000-$3,000, and you guys are giving it for free. So I'm just gonna let you talk about that and just let you talk about your experience and your backstory. But yeah, so again, guys, this is Mad Talk, and if you get any value from these interviews, don't forget to press that subscribe button and press the notification bell to always be alerted when our next interview is coming out. So, there you go.
Amazing. Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here. For me personally, it started very much with just trying to like fool around with a camera, man, like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, a lot of us maybe started out that way. Maybe you started with your phone. Maybe you started with an old camera. I used to like have the old camera. iPhone 6. Oh my gosh. I date way before that even. I literally had, I think it was a Canon GL2, and it took mini DV tapes. I still had to like capture the footage like as it was playing live. It was a whole thing. But maybe not many people remember that. But yeah, I started off just like trying to figure this stuff out, man. And over the last couple of years, trying to figure out, where my niche was in content creation, and started creating some content. And then that's where I got attention from ThinkMedia and the team here, Sean. You guys might know Sean Cannell and the team there. And then they reached out to me to really become a part of the team and take on really the role of not only a content creator, but a channel producer. So we do have a couple channels going on. We have our ThinkMedia channel, which is at 1.1 million subscribers right now, which is pretty amazing, exciting. We just hit 1 million a couple months ago, and we're pretty stoked about that. But we also have a channel called the Think Marketing. And on Think Marketing, we have a Think Marketing podcast that I produce as well. Basically, I'm one of the last touch points for all of our content going out over YouTube and our audio podcasts. And so day to day, I'm living in this stuff, man. I'm seeing, every problem that the normal content creator goes through. I'm hitting it at some point or another, whether that's before pressing record, after, or during. So, man, yeah, fired up to be here and excited to share kind of what we've been doing.
Excellent. And, just going back to what you were saying about the multiple different channels and stuff like that, I really think that ThinkMedia, see the irony there.
I see there.
ThinkMedia has this grasp on understanding that YouTube is just a vehicle to put out your message. Your number one goal is to build a brand that is providing value to others. How powerful is understanding that from the jump as a content creator?
Yeah. So one of the things we always talk about with people is a lot of times, you hear the advice, follow your passion, and it's good advice, kind of like it's good advice, but I would say it's probably not complete advice, because the problem is a lot of times we want to go my story out first, or my passion. I'm just going to do my story, my passion. And while that can work, I will say that is a bit more challenging to break through and really get traction on YouTube or even other social media platforms. And so what we teach, and really a part of ThinkMedia, is the best way to get your mission or your vision, or maybe what you want to share in your story out there, is by actually helping other people and putting others before yourself. So thinking about how could I serve or be helpful to the people that are watching, and then that in turn actually gains influence, and what in the true sense of the word, not the, maybe you might hear influencers as, that might be a dirty word to you, but I don't know who, somebody might be a dirty word to you, but really it's that sense of influence, basically just meaning trust. And so when people trust you, then when you go to about sharing your mission, your vision, and your voice through being helpful to other people, there's nothing more powerful, because you've actually gained their trust before you start sharing your mission, your vision. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but basically we just teach that try to be helpful, try to love on people and help them accomplish their dreams, or help them, maybe we're doing a tech channel with ThinkMedia. So we're trying to help people, navigate their camera, which can be a really frustrating thing. Well, through helping them do that, now we're able to get our mission out there of helping other people build a full-time income doing YouTube and doing online, being an influencer online and sharing their message across all of those platforms. So that's kind of like our strategies. We try to tell people, help others before yourself. And and I think, I forget who said this quote, basically saying that you'll never go poor by helping people. Like if you keep helping people on a consistent basis and keep serving people, you're not gonna have to worry about money.
You never. And I think to me that standpoint in itself is powerful, because you can see people like Gary Vee who does it as well. I actually had one of the members of Team Gary on the show, Andy, and he was really saying that he saw people take like the deck that he brought out back in November, like they're selling it for like $2,000-$3,000, like even $10,000, and he's sitting here like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But Gary was like, at the end of the day, we're providing people with value, and they're going to keep on coming back. You know, you see all these gurus and all these people that's online who automatically start these online courses and everything like that. I know that's one of the methods that you can use to make money as a content creator, to build a business from that. But do you think that some people can monetize too soon when it comes down to having an audience?
Oh, 100%. I think
Mm-hmm.
we sometimes as creators, and I get it. Here's the thing that's so hard is that a lot of creators who start doing things online, I think, start from a place of desperation. So, I mean, I've had the seasons of my life like that, where you start and it's like, oh, I'm going to do something because I need to make money. And again, not that we can't monetize what we're doing and find a way to have a living off of it. But I think if you're starting with that at the beginning, going, okay, I need to make money, need to make money, need to make money. It's almost like you're starting to build something out of desperation, which and could have positive, obviously, consequences. You could be working a lot harder and grinding for it, but it also can have a big negative in the sense of that if you focus on that income part too much, too early on, it's kind of like I picture it almost this way. It's kind of like a bank, right? So you're putting money in, which is trust. You're putting money into people and trust. But the moment you start asking from them, you're actually making withdrawals on that bank account. So I just like to live a way where I'm going, hey, I'm going to just deposit trust so that when I do want to ask for something, whether that's like a buy-in from a course or some kind of product or something, that bank account is way over full and way stocked for me to make that withdrawal. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Basically, like, I think that if you monetize too early, you're going to just bankrupt your trust with people, and you're going to bankrupt your potential to really build something that can be monetized long term. So that's kind of what I would be saying, is that you want to focus on building your influence, building that trust with people. I mean, for a good season, I'm not going to put a timeline on that, but for a good season, I would encourage you that if you're just starting, you're creating content to be helpful to people. And that's the win at first. And then monetizing and doing those things and those strategies can come a little bit later as trust is built and influence is built.
Yeah, it's one of these things that I've seen in my life. I've seen it a lot of times with different people, is that they try to monetize way too soon. And I've seen people who have like 200, 300 subscribers on YouTube all of a sudden sit up here like, oh, I'm gonna start a Patreon, or I'm gonna start this and that. Like, what would you say to people that like have that type of mindset? What would you say to like try to get them out of that?
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I think the idea of making money or monetizing and trying to do that is not necessarily a bad mindset. I think that you almost don't want to get too clever too quickly. We see people that have like Patreon accounts. We see big YouTubers that have all these things, and we think we need all these things, but we don't realize it took them, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years to get there. So I think it's funny because I think a lot of us, especially like in the millennial age group or even a little bit younger, we see like the lifestyle our parents had, and we think we want that instantly, like whether that's financially, the house, this, that, like we want that instantly, but it actually took them like 30, 40 years to get there. And what's kind of crazy is that if we don't keep our timelines in check, I think one of the best ways to think about YouTube or even online courses, all those kind of things that people might be into, is that you're in it for the long game. So you want to build that trust and ramp up to the long game. And again, there's nothing bad about having a course, nothing bad about having a Patreon. But if you're not building that influence first, you're going to have a hard time monetizing that. And it will feel like a bit cash grabby, and it'll feel a little like you're trying to just make a quick buck off of people that have just started watching you. So that's what I would, I guess, encourage you, like people listening or people watching, is that you want to just deposit as much trust as possible, you know, and then make calculated and thought through asks at the right time.
Yes. And what would you say, in your opinion, is like the top 3 things that every video should have if you're putting it onto a YouTube channel? All right, let's do top 5. Let's
All
do
right, top 5.
on
I actually like this. This is actually a really good question. So the top 5 things when you're talking about YouTube videos, yeah? Like YouTube in particular? Okay.
Yeah.
So the top 5 things that you want to be, that a YouTube video has to have, in my opinion. The first 2 are the kind of like the most important in a lot of ways. The first is a super strong title. And what I mean by title is like, it's got to be so like, it's got to be engaging. You got to have powerful words in there. Like I was just working on a title just before I jumped on this interview, and I was like looking for power words, and I was looking, we're doing like a Instagram story hacks. So like for like how to make people's Instagram stories better. And so I was like 5 creative Instagram story hacks. Just that creative word kind of like pulls intrigue. So a really strong title. Yeah, the adjective. Yeah, you got to have some descriptive words, some power words in there that really grab people. So that's the first thing, is really good title. Thumbnail has to be on point. Like these 2 things, I know they sound like, oh yeah, every video has to have them, but you have to have a thumbnail that is clean, easy to understand the concept, because you almost have to think about it like how if you should show a picture of something, and can someone get the concept and get what's happening? And those 2 things are so important, because if they aren't done well, they won't see the rest of the video. They're never going to click through and see the content.
They're not.
That's just not going to happen.
Especially if it's doing too much. Like, I don't care how creative you think you're being. At the end of the day, that's not how people's minds work. They have to be able to comprehend what that video is about based on that. They have to be able to comprehend it. It can't be something that they don't understand.
Totally. And I think one of the big, a hack I would share with you is that with thumbnails too, like a lot of times we think we need to put the title in the thumbnails. So like, so instead of like me going 5 creative Instagram story hacks, and like, I think some of the thumbnails we're playing around with right now, we haven't landed on one yet, but one of the ones is just like stories hack with the Instagram logo. So it's not like the full title on there. And I think a lot of people try to think like, oh, I have to like replicate my title with the thumbnail, where those things are more yin and yang, and you don't necessarily need the full title in there. But yeah, I would encourage like that. The thumbnail is so important. I would say number 3, when we're getting to the actual video now, is that you really have to think through your hook. And you might be like, what's a hook? A hook is basically the first like 8 to 10 seconds of the video. You really have to think about how you are, it's almost like fishing. And that's like, I think where the term really came from maybe, but like idea of like when you're fishing and you get a bite on the line. So that's like a viewer like clicking into your video. The first thing you do when you're fishing is like you set the hook. So like you pull back on the rod and you set the hook, and so that you can reel the fish in. But like that's the exact same thing we're trying to do with the video, is the first 8 to 10 seconds, you have to have a strong hook. And a couple of tips I would say for hooks is that you want to make sure that you're maybe aggravating a problem. So like, so for Instagram story hacks, let's just say off the top of my head, I was going like, oh, have you been really frustrated with how your Instagram stories seem to not really get traction for you? I've aggregate. Oh, they're like, yes, I don't know how to do story. Like you're aggravating that problem. And then on top of it, you want to just like make it very visually exciting. So you want to make sure you have like a lot of B-roll in that first 10 seconds, and you're showing multiple shots. You're illustrating what you're going to talk about in the video, because the more you can visually stimulate and kind of set that hook after that first 10 seconds, the likelihood of them staying around is pretty high after that initial hook. So you want to aggravate the problem, ask that question. And it's like, and if you get someone to go like almost like internally nod their head and be like, yes, that's me. And then you're like, I'm giving you the answer to it. Oh my gosh, people are like, they're going to be hooked in. They're just like, oh yes, like you're talking to me, and I've been scouring and I've been looking through YouTube and the internet to find the person to give you the answer, and you're that person. So that's dead on. Man. That's exactly what we do.
Okay. And then what you were saying number 3 was?
So number 4 is
number 4, my bad.
No, you're good. Number 4 is your content has to be valuable. So this is we always say that content is king, and it really is king. And the only reason I said the other 3 before this one is because I feel like for them to even get to your content, those 3 like hurdles have to be jumped. So that's why I would say they're arguably a little bit more important than the content, even though content is king over everything. is that your content really has to be valuable, because once people go through that hook and that whole process, I don't know if you guys have been this way, anybody's listening or watching, or even if you've been this way, but like if I get through those first 3 hurdles, I like the title, like the thumbnail, I click through, I see the hook, I'm like kind of hooked in, but then the content doesn't deliver on what the promise or what I was expecting from the first 3, it actually is a very negative experience for me. It now has become, this is clickbait. Like this isn't actually real content and real depth. So the
especially when
content,
it takes so long to get to the point.
exactly. And so that can be super frustrating. And so the fourth one really is that the content's got to be very valuable and strong and really solve problems for people. You know, I just encourage when people are making videos after that hook, like try to give them a quick win with what you're doing. Like again, referencing back to the Instagram stories hacks video that I was working on before I got on. One of the first hacks, like the first hack that comes in is, hey, when you're doing Instagram stories, don't use the camera inside of Instagram. Use the camera on your phone because it doesn't compress the footage and it's a lot crisper. That's such a quick win and a quick unlock for people that they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like this is valuable. I'm going to keep like, it's almost like you're giving them that kick of dopamine of like, oh my gosh, like they're answering my problem and they're like solving my problem. And so that's what I would just encourage, is that people would have strong, deep content, but give people a quick win at first. Because if we start talking about the depths of Instagram and all this different stuff, and it's kind of confusing at first, people are going to get frustrated and they're going to like just click away. So that's what I would say is the fourth thing. The fifth thing for YouTube video, you got to have a strategy when you're releasing it. So now that you have your video completely finalized, your title's good, your thumbnail's good, all that stuff, especially if you're early on, is that you can't just hit publish and pray that it's successful. You really have to, like I've done that before, and everyone's done that, right? Is we hit publish and we're like, okay, let me see when the views come in and I'll just wait here and just keep checking my analytics and refresh. And I would just say that you want to have a strategy of how you're going to share this video, because yes, for us, we teach people how to create content that is searchable so that people can find it through the YouTube search bar. But you want to do your best to share it out to your world. And you might be listening or watching or, if, you know, whatever, and you might go, I don't have a big world. Well, any world that you have right now, you never know the people that you're actually going to like connect with. Me and my wife, we have a YouTube channel called The Plant-Based Kitchen. It's kind of like our side hustle. We both eat 100% plant-based. So she's an amazing cook. So I was like, you should make a channel on this. And so we've been totally doing it. It's been amazing. But when we first started it, we shared it out to Facebook, right? Which had a lot of our just friends we knew in life that we've met over the course of life. And maybe a lot of people are like that too. You have Facebook friends. Oh yeah, that person from high school or that person from elementary school or like whatever. And we shared it out, and we actually ended up connecting with old friends that ended up being plant-based as well. So you just never know who's going to be in your world, and in your world is going to really like your content. So do what you can to share it out to all your social medias. Another big hack is that try to find places on the internet where your target audience hangs out and share the video there. You know, one of the things me and my wife do is we're in a bunch of Facebook groups that are for vegans and plant-based eating people. So when they ask questions like, oh, does anybody have any breakfast recipes? Well, I know we have a breakfast burrito recipe. I know we have a French toast recipe video. So I can send those videos to people. So you're actually answering a question and meeting a need where your target audience is hanging out. So that would be the fifth one, man. I would say you got to make sure to have a plan when you release the video.
Now, what do you tell people whenever they say things like, well, Facebook is for older generation, or Facebook is for, or Twitter's for this or Twitter's for that? Like, what is your reaction to that? Because I know that we're probably around the same age. I'm 26. You're probably maybe
29.
29. Yeah, so we're literally around the same age. What do you tell people whenever they say things like that? Like, oh, I'm not sharing this on Facebook. Facebook it's not going to have an audience for us and stuff like that.
Well, I would say this is that I would say check yourself a little bit. So if the reasons you're saying that is legitimate. So if, for example, Facebook might not be a target audience for you, but maybe LinkedIn is more of a target audience for you. Or maybe, you know, Twitter is really big. You know, Twitter is great for. Twitter is that instant conversation, but it's so good for gaming channels. It's so good for like things that have super fans, like movies and pop culture and those kind of things. Twitter's super strong for. Facebook, though, I would encourage people. People always think Facebook's for old people. And let's be honest, it kind of like has aged a little bit. But I
Mm-hmm.
will say Facebook still has the most active monthly users than Instagram, Twitter, to like all those places. It has way more active monthly users. So I would just say that, be careful what you write off, and also just really think about your target audience's experience. I'm going to tell you, Facebook groups, you can't sleep on Facebook groups.
No, you can't.
Facebook groups are literally one of the biggest hacks I think I've ever seen, because you are grouping your target audience into one place,
Mm-hmm.
and you could communicate to them. Name me one other place on the internet. I mean, other than like forums, maybe like on certain, but name me one other place on the internet,
like that.
or Reddit, maybe, but like maybe
Mm-hmm.
one other place on the internet where you're going to get a mass group of people that also, I feel like Facebook lately and has been really favoring it in the home feed algorithm when you're in a group, is even when you're scrolling on the news feed on Facebook, your groups are coming up. So like the organic reach is insane for Facebook groups. Like we've even talked about it here at ThinkMedia when we did the 7-day challenge in a Facebook group. We share videos all the time on Facebook, get like so little interaction, so little like just organic reach. We started sharing our like helpful YouTube videos in this Facebook group where we had this challenge. I can't tell you how many people were so thankful. We had hundreds of interactions with it, hundreds of comments. Like people were so stoked on these resources because we were putting it. So we weren't waiting on Facebook to give us just the organic reach of praying it out there. We assembled our target audience into a group and then showed them the content, and we got the distribution, and we got numbers we haven't hit in Facebook in forever because we got in front of the target audience. And I just can't think of another place on the internet right now that is like that you can get that crazy like target audience in one place and get feedback. And people always think like, oh, I don't have an audience, I don't know where to get suggestions for videos. Let me tell you right now, like we're in vegan Facebook groups. People ask, there's questions we just going through there. We see them pop up multiple times. Hey, I'm just getting started. What should I do with it? What kind of food? What kind of replacements? Hey, what's the best documentaries like for vegan people to watch, or, whatever. You literally can curate your videos and like get questions from your target audience. Like it's an insane hack. I'm so amped up on it, as you can tell. But
yeah, I
think Facebook groups are just, people are sleeping on them, and they can't sleep on them.
They can't. And something that you just said about like finding ways to come up with ideas and finding stuff like that. Look in comment sections of videos that you like. A lot of times people are asking a lot of questions that, I'm not going to lie, when you have a big following, they don't be answering them, especially if you already made a video about it. You're thinking to yourself, you know what, they're going to already answer it. So why don't you take it upon yourself? Okay, let's see what kind like a comments. Like for instance, with one of our channels, our main channel, we talk about like creator help and tips and stuff like that. Something that we could do is maybe look underneath one of your guys' videos and see like a question that you guys didn't answer. Make a video about that. Because obviously if somebody's asking that question, another person might have that question too. And don't sleep on those ideas because just because, oh, that's stupid. Isn't it? Sometimes the simplest truths in life is normally the best. That's what I've noticed. And that's how simple it is a lot of times with content creation and just YouTube and everything along that nature. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great hack, actually. I might even steal that hack, honestly. It's a great idea. And I think, I think a lot of times, one of the things I was saying to our team over this challenge we just ran and did is that I'm actually kind of shocked at how many beginners there are. Like we always think we know how many beginners are in your niche or what you're doing. But I feel like every day since I've been working for this company since last year, like every day I am shocked to discover another level lower than beginner in my mind. So like, I think like, oh, this is the beginner's level. This is where they're at. Like, this is the beginner. And then I find people that actually are lower than like don't know as much as that beginner in my mind I thought knew. And it's kind of shocking because the more simple you can break things down. And again, coming back to that quick win mentality, if you get people quick wins and they're at a very beginner level, you're going to see drastic results. I mean, we're seeing that drastic results right now, like with iMovie editing software, where like some of our most recent videos to take off, we did a whole series on iMovie, right? We did simple things like how to add text in iMovie. Yeah, you could look at that. Like you could literally see a button in there. You could think to yourself like, oh, this is so simple. Anybody who even edited an iMovie for 5 seconds would know this. Can't tell you how many comments we got. I've been looking for this. I didn't know how to add text. I was trying it. Or, It's crazy, man.
Or
Like
adding overlays.
you think, like the problem is we talk about it all the time at ThinkMedia that we have what's called the curse of knowledge. We know so much about a topic that we think it's common knowledge or common sense, but it's actually not common knowledge or common sense. And the people that make videos that do that answer those questions, they see amazing traction. Like I got another great example. Is actually, I'm working, my brother is a gamer. And so he has a gaming YouTube channel and gaming Twitch. And
What's
it's
the
really
channel?
starting. The channel's called Loaded Wombat.
All right,
So it's a great channel. You guys check it out because he streams almost every day. He's already like tripled his audience in the last couple months. A lot of it's been because of the pandemic, but also utilizing some of the strategies I've been teaching him with YouTube. And one of the videos he recently made was how to delete a single Twitch chat. The video didn't exist on YouTube. Like there's how do you delete that's all the video is, how to delete a single chat, because so many people, like, they have a setting turned off and they didn't realize it. And so he knew that was a pain point for some people. They were just like, how do you do it? And some people, the level of beginner was so level beginner, like, how do I delete one message? So if someone comes in your chat and says something inappropriate and you want to delete it, how do I delete it? He created this video. It started ranking and he's getting views every day from it. It's just like growing his channel. And it was a simple question someone had. And he saw it in one of the comments. He goes, someone's asking this. And he's like, and a couple people in my chat have asked this. Let me make a video about it. And so he did, and it's done super well. So I totally agree with you. You need to get those simple videos, simple questions answered. And I think you can see amazing results because you're helping people, you're giving them value, and people are thankful for that. I know I'm thankful for that. When I go into a YouTube channel, I find something that like helps me out and I don't have to spend an hour doing something, and I just learned it in like 5-10 seconds. I'm just, my mind's blown. You have my loyalty forever. You saved me like hours and hours of research. So I just think it's the best way to grow, man. It's the best way.
So this part of the interview, what I like to do is something called a 2-minute pitch segment. And this is where I kind of put you in a hot seat where you can pitch for 2 minutes just something that you're currently working on that is providing impact to your world. And I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock and you just go in. I literally do it. I think Heather beat it. I don't remember, but
2 minutes, okay.
All right, cool. I only had like one person go over now. In the 26 episodes we did this.
All right, ready?
Go.
Amazing. So if you are wanting to build a YouTube channel or build a living from home, one of the things that you need to know is how YouTube works. And YouTube is this kind of crazy, demystifying big place. It can seem like a big mountain almost shrouded in mist. You don't really know how to navigate it. And so one of the things we do here at ThinkMedia, we actually provide a YouTube channel that is completely free. All I'm asking and seeing is that if you want to subscribe and check us out, we're actually going to be able to give you tools and tips and practical help that's actually going to be able to up your YouTube game, and not only just up it, but actually exceed what you can think could be possible on YouTube. You know, our mission here is to have 10,000 people create a full-time living doing YouTube. And we're not going to stop until that goal is met and even exceed that goal past the 10,000. And so I just want to encourage you to check us out on YouTube, ThinkMedia, subscribe. We're going to help you out. Bunch of free content. You're just going to be blown away by how much stuff we can give away for free to help grow your brand, grow your channel. Boom.
It's great having you on. We're definitely going to have you on again. And guys, if you got value from this interview, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share on all your social media. So again, I'm Antoine, that's Tony, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.